Good afternoon. Come on in, Chief. Go ahead.
Everybody in? Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you all coming out. We'll thank the sheriff for allowing us to use this facility. Just a brief overview of the events this morning. At about 9:27 this morning, the Beaufort Police Department received a call about an active shooter at Beaufort High School. We immediately had officers responding. We notified the sheriff's office, and I will tell you, we, within 3 minutes, had officers in that school. At this point, it's been determined that, I don't want to use the word hoax, but we had officers from Beaufort Police Department, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, Port Royal Police Department, South Carolina Highway Patrol, the FBI, the ATF, and the U.S. military canines were on scene. At one point, I think by the time I got to the school, there were over 40 police officers inside that school doing a search. And I only had to come from right here. I think the latest count, there were at least 83 law enforcement officers at the school. We did the room-by-room search. Everything went well. I told the sheriff, and I don't mind saying it here, I've never been prouder of the men and women of law enforcement. This was an unfortunate incident that occurred at our school. I'm not going to speak to the type of person that would do this, but I literally saw police officers and deputies probably running towards the front door before their cars stopped moving. So for those of you out there, the law enforcement officers and not me, they did exactly what we've trained to do. We've trained with the sheriff. We've trained with the sheriff's office in Port Royal. And for a bad situation, I don't think we could have asked for a better response from our men and women and better cooperation. It didn't matter what color the uniforms were. At this point, there's not a lot we can say. We will tell you this is a joint investigation between the Beaufort Police Department, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI. And so at that point, I'll turn it over to the sheriff, and I guess we'll do questions afterwards. Sheriff?
Okay. Dr. Rodriguez, won't you
Sure.
address the
Sure.
school?
Thank you for being here today. I want to begin by thanking our law enforcement partners, our fire department, EMS, and multiple agencies that responded to the Beaufort High School situation today. It was an overwhelming response, which is always what you would like to see when a situation like this happens. And so we're grateful for the response and the quickness of that response. I want to take a moment and thank our staff at the school because our staff responded quickly as well, ensuring the safety of each of our students. I had a chance to speak with a couple of students today who commended their teachers and their staff for their response in making sure they kept their students safe today. Our students responded incredibly well as well. They listened, they heard their teachers, and they did the kinds of things that they're asked to do in order to remain safe during situations like this. And so I want to particularly shout out our students today throughout the entire process for the manner in which they behaved and acted during this very serious situation. This is why the training that we do with our staff on a regular basis is so important as well, so that they're prepared to respond. This is why any training and exercises that take place with law enforcement is helpful in situations like this. And I'll just close by thanking our mayor as well in the city of Beaufort, who, as I was arriving as well to the site. And so we appreciate you coming and being there as well. Thank you very much.
Mayor, you want to?
Yeah, just a few words. I want to reiterate, our law enforcement, our fire departments, our EMS did exactly what they always have trained to do. We've seen incidents around the country where maybe there wasn't a rapid response. That was not the case in Beaufort this morning. Videos and firsthand accounts that our folks were immediately in that building as they arrived on scene. Fortunately, it was a false alarm, but I think it was a good training exercise for all of us. And I also appreciate Superintendent Rodriguez and the school district's response. I think citizens ought to be very proud of the team and the cooperation that responded immediately. And as a parent with kids in Beaufort County Schools, we hope you'll hug your kids tonight. And I know our law enforcement partners will not stop until we try to find the folks who were responsible for the chaos and the heartbreak that was caused this morning. Thank you.
You know, I can echo what's already been said, and Chief McDormand pretty well said it all. As far as the response to a call like this, I think it was exceptional in a lot of different ways, many ways. But at the same time, you know, we will take the next couple of days and we'll review everything that we did and identify, if any, things that need to be improved. But right now, there's not a whole lot that I could say in the form of improvement needed. I'm gonna say this too, and Dr. Rodriguez, you hit the nail on the head. We could not be more prouder for our kids. I mean, all my guys on the ground at the school could not say enough about how these kids responded to this call. I mean, they listened carefully. They followed the requests that were made by school staff, who did an exceptional job. And we are extremely proud. We were proud of our men and women in law enforcement. We're proud of our fire and EMS and all of our first responders. But when we have an opportunity like this to have to be engaged in a call such as this, and when we can honestly say that our kids, and that we had over 1,000 kids at school today, did an exceptional job. These calls have been something that have bothered law enforcement agencies throughout the country for a while now. Today, reported out of our state law enforcement division, we had similar calls such as this that occurred today in Horry County, Beaufort, Greenville, Greenwood, Richland, Charleston, Florence, York, and Anderson, all today. It's my understanding in a conversation we had with the FBI, there were 22 entities that were affected by these calls today in South Carolina. Thus requiring us to do a joint investigation with the FBI. So I know you're going to make requests. The requests are going to be for 911 information and reports and all the other stuff that you would want to have, but we're not releasing any of that. All of it will be turned over to the FBI. We're actually gathering all that information now, and at some point today or tomorrow, all of that information will be turned over to the FBI. So we can try to answer whatever questions you may have, but if it's connected to the investigation, we will not answer those questions. So do you have any questions?
Sure.
And, okay.
With this being a problem in multiple places around our state today, how do we deter these kinds of things moving forward?
How do we deter? We identify those that are responsible, and we put them in prison. And we remove their technology access. Because, you know, in our conversations with FBI earlier, I mean, we're very proud throughout this country at the type of technology we have. And everyone in this room uses all sorts of technology. And for law enforcement and for what we do, it's very important that we use that stuff. Unfortunately, everyone has access to it. Not the same technology, but obviously based on what we're dealing with here, they have access to things that they shouldn't have access to, and they're using it for the wrong reasons. So when we identify those people that are doing that, then we need to find them a new place to live. And that's in the Department of Corrections. Chief, anything?
I agree 100%.
Questions? Yes, sir.
Did the call go into 911 or Beaufort PD, or do we know where the call, who received that call?
The call originated at the Beaufort Police Department. Non-emergency, I guess it shows main number.
Came into the main number,
Oh, okay.
and as they were gathering information, they transferred it to the communication center. So that call was transferred to the non-emergency number at the sheriff's office. You cannot transfer a 911 call to a 911 call. So it has to be transferred to the non-emergency number, which is the number we give out, 524-2777.
Obviously, there'd be a debate on whether you're going to answer this or not, but the question would be if the FBI is involved and you believe whether it's the same person or same entity or something very similar is connected to all of these calls that affected these 22 entities.
And all of that will be determined in the investigation. Good question.
As far as the parents, obviously a very scary time for them. Can you talk a little bit about the process of how collaborating with parents, teachers, children, as they're texting their parents of what's going on, how that process works with them getting to the school and everything that you saw today?
You know, the reunification efforts by the school is something that I'm going to turn over to Dr. Rodriguez because they did a marvelous job.
Thank you. So in terms of the reunification efforts, we had large law enforcement presence at the school, and the reunification site was identified to be at the stadium for students. And so we transported students. We had buses that we had prepared to transfer students, and we transferred them to the stadium and notified parents of where the reunification site would be. There were specific directions and instructions that students received in terms of transitioning from the school site to the stadium. Again, our students were exceptional in following the directions they were given, not only by our staff, but also by law enforcement in that process. They arrived at the stadium, and we began the reunification process that we go through. Just like everything else, we'll learn from each experience, so as we'll learn from this reunification process as well. But we did that off-site at the stadium.
I saw that parents received a slip of paper saying they needed to identify their child's name, their grade, they had to give their name, then they were asked to provide their IDs. What was the school's kind of thought process behind all of that? I think some parents are like, why do I need my ID?
Well, it's part of a reunification process, and we want to make sure, you know, when you come to the school and you want to receive your child, particularly after an incident like that, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to check who the parents are that are arriving at school or who the individual is arriving at school, and then make sure that we connect them with their child. So that's part of the process. Yeah.
How do you set the parents' expectations? Because obviously that is not a process that happens immediately.
No.
Got a lot of people, attentions are high, emotions are high. So what do you do to?
Yeah, so we understand that emotions are high in a situation like that. You know, the very first thing any parent would want to do is to put their hands on their child and hug them, right? And so we understand that, and we understand that one of the things we ask for in communications that our team sends is just the patience that's needed, and that's what we can do. We can ask them for that patience, and I can tell you that our parents have been exceptional in their response as well. So.
Dr.
We understand that.
We've had one question on Facebook. It was from a parent asking if the school district was going to have anything in place to help with students who may have some emotional or trauma, response to today.
That is a wonderful question, and yes, we will. We've already got a team set up that we will have at the school tomorrow. Absolutely. Thank you for that question.
Sorry, Dr. Rodriguez. So last year there were similar hoax calls with bomb threats with, I think it was at May River, and then over the summer, Hilton Head High. Is there any indication that this, wave of threats is in any way related to that?
I'm sure if there's anything related to it, that'll come out in an investigation.
For logistics' sake, between the time of y'all finding out what was going on, getting the call, and the time that parents were alerted, just to connect these two things, how long did that take for parents to find out what was going on?
I don't have that specific timeline for you, but I do know this, that when a situation happens like that, it's most important to get as much accurate information before you communicate information, right? So you need to get as much accuracy as you can. And it's also a great opportunity to stress how important it is for our parents to make sure that their phone numbers and information are accurate within our schools, So if they're not sure if they've changed their number recently, please make sure that they connect with our school, because when we do communicate, we want them to get it, you know? So that's the other part that's important, so, thank you.
For you or police or whoever, students inside had cell phones, and they were calling parents, they were doing things like that. Is that something that you believe is actually a positive in this case when these kind of things go on, or is that something that you would prefer not to happen because they may offer false information?
So I'll touch on the communication piece, because it was probably one of the most frustrating parts of the morning. It doesn't hurt, because we can gather some intelligence from what the kids are telling us. I'm not suggesting that they should be on their phone, because if this was a real situation, that puts them in danger because they're talking. So that's a catch-22 question. Does it help us? Yes. Do I think they should do it? No. The communications this morning, but I will tell you, and again, thank the sheriff's office, their PIOs responded to the scene. We need to put out the right information, and we agonized. Myself, Chief Hatfield, Major Veens, we agonized over what to put out and when to put it out, because we wanted to get it out. We had officers with the groups of parents that had gathered, giving them as much real-time information as we could. Being a parent myself, the information wasn't out soon enough. I mean, but we couldn't do it any quicker. And it's not a good spot for a parent to be in, to be standing there waiting for information. But accurate information, safety of the children, that was the #1 priority.
And then, just to clarify, so when this was called in, it was called in as an active shooter, and then you're not saying it's a hoax yet, but can we say it wasn't a credible threat?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll call it a hoax. It was a hoax.
Okay.
It came into us for the other question. It came into our department, we transferred it, and immediately started moving people that way.
It came in as shots fired or an active shooter?
Came in as an active shooter, is what they told our people when it first came in.
Just to confirm, the stadium was at the high school. Is
Yes.
The stadium at Buford High School is off-site, a few blocks away, but it's that's the Buford High Stadium, yeah. It's a few blocks away. Yeah.
What charges, if any, are we looking at for if the caller is identified later on?
Because it's a federal investigation, we'll have to leave that to the feds. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll wrap this up. But again, I'll remind you, because Angela Viens, our PIO, is here, and Lindsay, but we're very limited about what information we can give out. We wanted to do this, and we did it as early as we possibly could to make sure that we could give some information out to give some comfort to our families in Buford, and acknowledged again the great work that everyone did. Response time was fantastic, and I just want to say again, the kids are awesome. So thank you all for coming, and information-wise, I know you want to send in your FOIAs trying to get all this other stuff, but I want you to know right now, it's off limits. Everything will be turned over to the FBI. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.